x squared minus 18x plus 56 equals 0. Using this method, we write that as s squared equals 25. When s squared is 25, you get s equals square root of 25. So s equals 5. So when s equals 5, the two numbers become 9 plus 5. So the first number becomes 14. And then you get 9 minus 5. The second number is 4. So first number is 14 here. And second number is 4. So the factors are x minus 14, x minus 4. Then the solution becomes here. We change the signs. That becomes plus 14 and then plus 4. That's the solution. Want to solve quadratic equations fast? Whether you are preparing for exams or just want to master math, this video will show you the easiest and fastest way to solve any quadratic equation step by step. Let's get started. Say we are solving the equation x squared plus 8x plus 12 equals 0. This is the quadratic equation. The question is solve. Basically find the values of x. Now, to solve this quadratic equation, let's do this in the easiest way. First step gonna be, we write this as x plus, and we put a box here like this, times, and then again you write x plus, we put another box. We fill these two boxes at the end. I'll show you how we fill this out. Now, as we have here plus sign, we'll be using these two plus. If that was a minus, we will use minus here as well. And here, let's see what is the next step gonna be. The next step is we look at the middle term, which is 8x. So we look at the middle number here, which is 8. So we take that number 8. We take the number 8 and then you divide by 2. So 8 divided by 2, that's gonna be 4. So we start with this number 4. You take that as 4 and we start like this, 4 plus, and you write as s. S is the solution, so we just write 4 plus s times 4 minus s, and then this whole thing equals, and now we look at the constant here, which is plus 12. Right? So you just write that as 12 here. So we write this number. So 4 plus s times 4 minus s equals 12. And now you simplify this. So you know 4 plus s times 4 minus s. You know the formula a plus b times a minus b. That's going to be a squared minus b squared. Right? So using that formula, we can write this as 4 squared minus s squared. That should be equal to 12. All right. So 4 squared is 16 minus s squared equals 12. So we got like this. Now you need to find the value of s from this. So the first step gonna be, you can do plus s squared on both sides of the equation. So you get rid of this s squared here. And now we are left with 16 equals, we can write this as s squared plus 12. And the next step gonna be to find s. So we just subtract 12 on both sides of the equation. So you can cancel out this 12. 16 minus 12 is 4. You can write this as 4 equals s squared. Now, when 4 equals s squared, how do I find s from here? So you know that s equals, so when s squared is 4, s equals square root of 4. All right, so you know that square root of 4 is 2. So you can write s equals 2. So we got the value of s. All right, so the s is 2 here. And now, since we started this with 4 plus s times 4 minus s, right? So let's see 4 plus s. Let's find what is 4 plus s. So 4 plus, you know the s value is 2. So 4 plus 2, that's gonna be 6. And now you find what is 4 minus s. So 4 minus s is 2. So 4 minus 2. So I got 2. So 4 minus 2 is 2. So now you got 4 plus s as 6, 4 minus s as 2. So now you're going to fill these two numbers here. So now in the first box, you write 6. In the second box, you write 2. So now you can see that the factors of this given quadratic equation are x plus 6 and then x plus 2. Alright. Now, what is the solution to this given quadratic equation? Now, to find the solution, we can just say that solution equals the solution set to this given quadratic equation equals, now as you got here plus 6 and then plus 2, right? So you need to change the sign. That becomes now negative 6. And then if it is plus 2, you change the sign, negative 2. So what is the solution to this given quadratic equation? It's negative 6 comma negative 2. That's the solution to this given quadratic equation. All right. Now let's do the next question. And let's solve that and see what are the factors of that quadratic equation. And also let's see what is the solution to the given quadratic equation. Let's take the next example. Say we have x squared minus 18x plus 56 equals 0. Now this is another quadratic equation. The question is again, solve for x. Basically, here we are finding the factors and then we are finding the solution. All right. Now the first step gonna be, you write this as x minus, and then you put a box here, times, you write again x minus, you put another box here. Now, in the previous question, we wrote this as x plus a box and then x plus another box. But here we wrote a minus because here the sign is minus, right? So this sign is minus. That's why we wrote this as minus, this as minus. If that was plus, we write this as plus and that as plus. All right, that's the first step. And now the next step gonna be, we look at the number in the middle, which is 18, right? Now we take that number 18 and we divide by 2. So take that number 18, divide by 2. 18 divided by 2, that's gonna be 9, right? Now you take this number 9 and start with number 9 and then you write 9 plus s, right? Times, you write 9 minus s. And that should be equal to this number. So you can see this number is 56. So you write that should be equal to 56. And now you solve for s. Again, to solve for s, like you can see that this is 9 plus s, 9 minus s. So we have the formula a plus b times a minus b. You can always write this as a squared minus b squared. That's the formula. So here, this look like a plus b times a minus b. You can write as a squared minus b squared. So basically now this becomes 9 squared minus s squared. So you can write this as 9 squared minus s squared should be equal to 56. Now we simplify this further. 9 squared is 81 minus s squared should be equal to 56. And now to solve for s, the first step gonna be you add s squared on both sides of the equation. So now you can cancel out this s squared. We are left with 81 equals, you write s squared first plus 56. And now to find s, you subtract 56 on both sides of the equation so that this cancel out. 81 minus 56, that's going to be 25, should be equal to a square. Now, when a squared is 25, s should be equal to square root of the number 25. Square root of this number 25 is 5. So you get s value as 5. So now we got s as 5. Now when s is 5, you plug in s as 5 in here, right? And also you plug in s as 5 in this step as well, right? So now what we do is we find what is 9 plus s and 9 minus s. Let's see that. So 9 plus s, which would be, you see that as s is 5, so you just write that as 9 plus s is 5, so 9 plus 5, that becomes 14. And the next one is 9 minus s. Here s we got as 5, so 9 minus 5, that is 4. So you got the first number as 14 and the second number as 4. Now you plug in these numbers in the first step. So we wrote x minus a box. In the first box, that goes 14. In the second box, it's 4. So now you can see that the factors of the given quadratic equation are x minus 14, x minus 4. Alright, now what is the solution to this given quadratic equation? Now to find the solution, so we just write solution equals the solution to the given quadratic equation equals, as you see this is minus 14, or you can say negative 14, you change the signs. So if it is negative, you write as positive, that becomes plus 14. And then this also minus 4, that you need to change sign, that become plus 4. So the solution to this given quadratic equation is 14 comma 4. So these are the values of x that satisfy the given quadratic equation. Alright, now let's solve the next equation and let's see what are the solutions to that given quadratic equation. So this method is pretty easy, and if we practice well, we can solve this very easily. Now let's take another example. Say we have x squared minus 17x plus 30 equals 0. So let this be another quadratic equation. The question is solve for x. Find the value of x. Again, the step 1, we write this as x minus, we put a box, times, and then again you write x minus, we put a box, right? And now we look at the middle number, which is 17. Now you take that number, you're going to divide by 2. All right. So you take 17 and then you divide that by number 2. So divide by 2. So 17 divided by 2, you get a decimal, right? So that's going to be 8.5. So that's a decimal number 8.5. Now you take the decimal number, you start with the decimal. So that is 8.5. You write 8.5 plus s times 8.5 minus s should be equal to, this should be equal to this number. So you can see this number here is 30. So you write that as equals 30. And now you simplify this. This is in the form of a plus b times a minus b. Again, it should be a squared minus b squared. So that should be 8.5 squared minus s squared. That should be equal to 30. And now we simplify this. 8.5 squared, which is 8.5 times 8.5. That's going to be 72.25 minus s squared should be equal to 30. Again, we solve for s. So you add s squared on both sides of the equation. Now you can cancel out this s squared here, and we are left with 72.25 equals, you can write first s squared and then you write 30, so s squared plus 30. And in the next step, you subtract 30 on both sides of the equation, so it's minus 30. So you can cancel out this 30. 72.25 minus 30, that gives you 42.25, and that should be equal to s squared. So when s squared is this, to find s, you find the square root, right? So s equals square root of the number 42.25. Now, square root of this number, 42.25, that is 6.5. Right? So we got the value of s. So s is 6.5. Now, to find the two numbers, you plug in 8.5 plus s, 8.5 minus s. Now let's find first what is 8.5 plus s, and then you find what is 8.5 minus s. Now the first one would become here 8.5 plus, what is s value? We got s as 6.5. So plug in s as 6.5. So now you get here 8.5 plus 6.5. So that's going to be 15. And now the next one is 8.5 minus 6.5. 8.5 minus 6.5, that is 2. Now we got two numbers. First number is 15. Second number is 2. Now you write in the box, the first number is 15 and the second number is 2. So the factors of this given quadratic equation are x minus 15, x minus 2. You can check that out. You can see that minus, or I can say negative 15 plus negative 2, that gives negative 17, right? And also 15 times 2, that gives 30. You can always check. So now the factors are s minus x minus 15 and then x minus 2. Now what is the solution? So let's write down the solution to the given quadratic equation. And now you can see that becomes, the solution is here. Let's write down the solution. So solution equals, as you can see that we got minus 15. Now you change the sign. If that was negative 15, it becomes positive here. And it's negative 2, it becomes positive 2. So the solution to the given quadratic equation is 15, 2. That's the solution to the given quadratic equation. All right. Now let's do the next question. Let's see what is the solution to that given quadratic equation. Let's solve that and find the solution to that given quadratic equation. Say the question is, we got 3x squared plus 28x plus 9 equals 0. Let this be the question. Now, in the previous questions, the coefficient of x squared was 1. But here, this question is different. As you can see that the coefficient of x squared is 3. So earlier, in all the previous questions, it was 1. Right? There was no coefficient, so it was 1. So here, in this question, the coefficient of x squared is 3. So if there is a coefficient, how do we do that? We still use the same method. You write again this as x plus, and we put a box here, times, and then again you put x plus, you put another box here. And now, again, we look at the number in the middle, which is 28. And now, you take that number 28 and you divide by 2. So take 28 and then you do divide by 2. 28 divided by 2, that gives you 14, right? And now you take that number 14, Start with 14 and then you write 14 plus s times, and then you write 14 minus s equals what? Earlier, we took the constant here, but now, as there is the coefficient before x squared, you're going to multiply 3 with this constant. So 3 times 9, that becomes 27. So now we don't take this number 9, we take now 27. So which means here you write 9 times 3, that becomes 27. All right. So whenever there is a coefficient of x squared, you're going to multiply that with the constant at the end. So 9 times 3, it becomes 27. And now the same method again. So, if it is in the form a plus b times a minus b, you can write that as a squared, which is 14 squared minus s squared. That should be equal to 27. All right. And now 14 squared. 14 times 14, that is 196, minus s squared should be equal to 27. Now, in solving for s, the first step here is add s squared on both sides of the equation. So you can cancel out s squared, and we are left with 196 equals s squared plus 27. And in the next step, you subtract 27 on both sides of the equation. So you can cancel out this. 196 minus 27, that's going to be 169. That should be equal to s squared. When s squared is 169, to find s, you write this as square root of 169. Now square root of this number is 13. Right? So now you got the value of s equals 13. Now you plug in s as 13 in 14 plus s and 14 minus s. All right. So now you write this as, find those numbers. So you write 14 plus s. Since s is 13, so 14 plus 13, that becomes 27. And now you do 14 minus s. So 14 minus s is 13. So 14 minus 13, that gives you 1. So what are the two numbers there? So the two numbers going to be here. You write the first box as 27 and second box as 1. So are these the two solutions, or I can say are these the two factors? X plus 27 and x plus 1. So if you see that, is 27 plus 1, is that equals 28? Yes, right? That equals 28. But is 27 times 1, is that 9? No, right? Which means we still have to calculate something here. So that is, as you can see that the leading coefficient, or I can say the coefficient of x squared is 3, right? So you're going to divide this by 3. This also you're going to divide by 3. That's the additional step. Since coefficient of x squared is 3, if that was 1, we don't do it. But if it is a different number, you need to do this way. So you divide 27 by 3 and then 1 by 3. Now let's simplify this out and let's see what are the factors. Now to simplify that out, let's see. So 27 divided by 3. So you can write that as x plus 27 divided by 3 is 9. So that becomes x plus 9 times, you can write this as x plus 1/3. You can just leave it like this. So x plus 9 times x plus 1/3. So these are the two factors of the given quadratic equation. Now what is the solution to the given quadratic equation? Now to find solution, we take those numbers and change signs. If it is plus 9, it becomes negative 9. If it is plus 1/3, that becomes negative 1/3. So the solution to the given quadratic equation is negative 9 and then negative 1/3. All right. And that's it. Now you know how to solve quadratic equations fast using this method. Remember, practice makes perfect, so try solving a few on your own to get even faster. If you found this method helpful, let me know in the comments below. And make sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe so you never miss out on more math tricks and tips.